And now Gary Brown from the Green Party.
Good evening, and thank you very much for coming out. It's a pleasure to be in Oak Ridge, one of the most engaged electorates in Ontario. There's plenty of seats in the front row if anybody back there is still looking for a chair. Well, politics is broken at Queen's Park, folks. Things aren't working, as we've seen from the partisan bickering over the last few years, and even here the first few weeks of the debate. Everybody seems to be more concerned about scoring cheap political points than getting on with the job and the vision for Ontario. I've been knocking on many doors this isn't the only election I've run, but I've been knocking on doors for a long time. And particularly this election, I'm hearing discussions about jobs. Jobs for Ontario, and particularly jobs for London. We have the highest unemployment rate in the country. What the Green Party stands for in jobs is a focus on small businesses. Throughout the recession, the only part of our economy that has been growing jobs is small businesses, and we need to focus on that. Specifically, we would raise the health tax exemption for small businesses up to $800,000 because it's a significant barrier to hiring people. We'd also look at bringing in smarter regulations. The same regulations that apply to big business don't necessarily make sense for small businesses, and it stifles their growth and innovation. And why is this so important here in London? Well, London has 20,000 registered businesses. And of those 20,000 registered businesses, 18,000 of those are small businesses. So it's time the province begins working with our city. London has something called the Hire One program, which just started this year, which is to hook up employers, employees, and government programs to bring them all together to make it to hire easy. So what needs to happen is the province needs to be facilitating this as well. Because when both the city and the province are on the same page, then we can all move forward together. You're also going to hear a lot of talk about energy prices tonight and energy costs, and you're going to hear a lot of tax promises. We'll give you this here, we'll give you that there. Well, the Green Party's not going to play the shell game with taxes and energy prices. We have a very distinctive, different solution to energy prices, and that's investing directly in your homes and businesses. Investing in conservation, better building materials, better insulation, better refrigerators, better air conditioners. And it's important because then you control your energy prices. You're not reliant on the government for the tax flavor of the day, which is what we're doing right now. I also hear a lot of talk about health care. One of the biggest differences is our party's approach to health care. The focus is on health, not on the sick care system. Wait times are what we always seem to measure our health care system by. Well, I'm sorry, wait times are not a measure of a health care system. Health is the only measure of a health care system. Ontario only spends $7 per person on preventative health care. Quebec spends 24%, BC 17%. It is now 45% of our budget we spend on health care. We need to have the best health care system in the world, but we also need to be able to afford it. And the only route forward through that is prevention. And I'm just going to touch back on government not working again. It doesn't matter what level of government we think of today, be it our city government, be it provincially, or be it federally. Government's not working. There's a lack of trust between the voters and the politicians that are, in this case, at Queen's Park. And as voters, we have to accept responsibility for that. If we continue to send the same old parties back to Queen Park, you're going to get the same results. I believe Einstein had a quote very similar to that. So, new health care, different way of doing health care, small business focus for jobs, investing in your homes for energy, which will also create jobs. I think we offer a clear and different message from the other parties. And I would very much invite you to visit our platform, visit our website, londonwestgreens.ca, and get to know just not our platform, but all the parties' platform, and cast your vote for the party and the candidate who best suits your values. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. And now Ken Coran representing the Liberal Party.
Welcome and thank you for attending tonight. So my name is Ken Coran and I'm your provincial Liberal candidate for London West. I want to talk to you tonight about why I am running and why I believe you should vote for Kathleen Wynne and the Ontario Liberal Party. We deserve your vote. I truly believe in London. I believe in our community spirit. I believe in the people of this city. I believe in our parks. I believe in our world-class schools. And I believe in our expanded healthcare system. London has all the ingredients for success. These and many more reasons are why I live in London. That's why I call it my home. That's why I raised my family here. And that's why I want to represent this beautiful city. And I want to give credit where credit is due. Chris Bentley fought tirelessly for this riding, and he was instrumental in the continued development of our great city, ensuring that London West was always represented at the government decision-making table. And I know that Chris leaves large shoes to fill, and this is a role that cannot be stepped into casually. It requires experience, both professionally and in life. I, Ken Coran, am experienced and ready to deliver that same dedication and that same high level of service to London West families. I want to thank my good friend Chris for all his many years of hard work and dedication on behalf of all the London West families. And I want to assure you here and now, just as Chris loved this city, I love this city. And just as Chris used his skills and his experience to fight for London West families, so will I. You know, I was a high school teacher for the Thames Valley Board of Education for 25 years, and I taught science, I taught mathematics, and I taught business. As a teacher, I obviously value education and the positive effect education has on people's lives. I worked closely with parents and with my students to ensure that their learning needs were heard and that those learning needs were met. Through this kind of collaboration, I saw progress. I saw people gaining strength, and I saw people realizing their potential. That's exactly what I want for London. I want for us to work together. I want for us to grow this economy, and I want us to produce real results for our community. As a representative for teachers, I dedicated myself to strengthening the education system and creating stable, long-term jobs in London and across the province. Kathleen Wynne also believes in this, the importance of education, the importance of creating a highly skilled workforce so that we can continue to attract investments and then grow our economy and therefore create jobs. Good jobs, long-term jobs, jobs that allow people to put food on the table, jobs that allow people to retire securely. Contrary to what Tim Hudak is claiming, we will not grow our economy with across-the-board cuts to services and a U.S.-style race to the bottom. I strongly oppose this right-wing Tea Party-style philosophy, and I will do everything I can to prevent that from coming to this province. The challenges facing London are complex. Complex problems require complex solutions. Not just political party lines like Hudak's cut, 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 or the NDP's spend, spend, spend. We need real solutions. We need real answers. I'm the only candidate with experience in finding those solutions.
Folks, we're not going to engage in heckling from the audience, okay? Let's be respectful, let the candidate finish.
Thank you. I don't know if the clock is where we are. I'm sure the referee is adjusted. I'm the only candidate up here that has that experience in finding those solutions at a government decision-making table. And I'm going to find those solutions for you in this community. I'm running because I strongly believe in this city and in this province. I've seen an NDP government in action. High on promises, but severely flawed on accounting. The NDP consistently came up short on their promises. After agreeing with the Liberals on government priorities of youth unemployment and health care for seniors, they're touting their own horn, they're tooting their own horn, claiming that they got action for Ontarians. It was the Ontario Liberals that achieved those actions. We've got a real action strategy for seniors, a health care provider for everyone, a senior coordinated care, and an expanded physiotherapy. Real action delivers. 2.1 million more Ontarians have a family doctor. Real action, such as going from the worst in hospital wait times under the Harris government to the best in wait times. Real action, taking a school system that was gutted under the Harris government to one of the best in the English-speaking world. Real action as the recovery of all jobs since the recession, plus an additional 70% more jobs. So we have to make sure we don't spend money foolishly. That is what some parties may profess to do. That is what has sunk our economy in the past, and we have to make sure it's not going to happen again. Thank you. You sure I got that extra time?
Thank you, Ken. I'll just reiterate, we aren't going to have heckling from the crowd, okay? So keep that down. For some who are standing, that's enough. For some who are standing, there is room for about 6 or 7 people up the front if you'd like to. It's probably a little bit more comfortable. I'll let you move as you will. I'll turn the mic over now to Peggy Sadler. No, we're not taking it.
Thank you. It's nice to be in a cool room after spending so much time out in the hot sun. But I'm very pleased that so many of you were able to come here tonight, because I think we have an important decision to make here in London West. In this by-election, voters in London West have a choice. You can choose one of the other parties with the same old politics, or you can elect an NDP MPP who will work hard on your behalf and deliver for you. I've been elected to the school board 4 times and have served 2 terms as board chair. I know this community, and I know how to advocate on behalf of the people I represent. I first got involved in public education when my kids were little, and I have found my 13 years on the board to be very rewarding, listening to parents and families, solving problems, and getting results. At the same time, I have balanced my work on the board with a professional career as Director of Policy in a private sector research firm. I care deeply about public education. In fact, it was the turmoil created by the Liberal government in our schools last year with the imposition of Bill 115 that led to my decision to run for the NDP. I saw the government, supported by Tim Hudak and the Tories, playing political football with our kids' education, cynically trying to attack teachers so they could win the by-election in Kitchener-Waterloo, and we all know how that turned out. Not only did Bill 115 throw families into chaos and cause students to lose their extracurriculars, but the repeal of the bill is going to cost the province more than if we had sat down and negotiated in the first place. People are tired of politicians who are only in it for themselves. They deserve an MPP who will put them first and deliver results on the issues that matter. Since launching my campaign door after door, I'm hearing the same things from the people of London West. They are anxious and concerned about their future. They want jobs for themselves and their children. They want health care they can rely on, and most of all, they want a government they can trust. And it's no wonder no other community in the province, as the Premier said, has felt the sting of Liberal mismanagement as directly as London West. It was the resignation of Chris Bentley over the $600 million gas plant scandal, a politically motivated decision to help the Liberals win a couple of seats in the GTA, that triggered this by-election in the first place. With London facing some of the highest unemployment rates in the country, this money could have been used to create jobs, or it could have been used to improve healthcare oversight so that cancer patients would know they were getting the right doses of chemotherapy. Voters expect their elected representatives to manage public resources responsibly and to make things better for them. That's what I did as a trustee, and that's what Andrea Horvath and the NDP have done. Only the NDP said, let's wait to find out how much it's going to cost before cancelling the gas plants. That's being fiscally responsible. And while Tim Hudak and the Tories sat on their hands, New Democrats worked hard in the last budget to push the Liberals to deliver results that have a real impact for families. We delivered a financial accountability office to make sure that no government of any political stripe is ever able to make the kind of irresponsible, politically motivated spending decisions that the Liberals made. This was modelled on the Parliamentary Budget Office in Ottawa and will help stop scandals before they start. This is the kind of transparency voters want to see. Andrea Horwath also delivered on promises to strengthen health care by reducing wait times for home care. This means that London seniors can get the home care they need to stay in their homes and stay connected to their communities. She put jobs on the front burner by delivering a jobs youth plan that will get 25,000 young people working. And New Democrats will continue to put people and families first. This is the kind of leadership that Andrea Horwath can deliver. I have lived and worked in London for 20 years. I have a strong track record as an effective trustee and the background and experience to be a strong voice for London West. On August 1st, I'm asking for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. And our final speaker, representing the Progressive Conservatives, Ali Shaban.
Good evening, everybody. Before I begin my formal comments, thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Councillor Hubert and the Oak Ridge Presbyterian Church for hosting us this evening. What an incredible turnout, and I think it speaks to the importance of this by-election and, the symbolism that lies behind what we're going to do on August 1st here. Before I get into substantive policy, and I think 6 minutes, which is great, because normally we're limited to 60 seconds, so you can't really say very much in 60 seconds. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. In addition to the obvious, my name's Ali Shaban, I'm running for the PC party. I was born, raised, educated, and live here in London West. I just live down the street, just off of Hyde Park over there. I am a graduate of Sir Frederick Banting Secondary School, went to Western, 4-year degree in Honours Political Science, went to law school after that, and in Windsor, came immediately back to London, and have practiced law here for the past number of years. Married to my lovely wife in the back there. We have a daughter who's a year and 9 days old, which is great. We celebrated her birthday during the course of the campaign, so found out my daughter loves cake just like her daddy. So, sit on the board of directors of the Boys and Girls Club, sit on the board of directors of Crime Stoppers for the last number of years, involved in the community, but like many of us here. Now, let me answer this question. It's a fundamental question that you should ask of anybody who's running for public office. Why are you running? I mean, we make sacrifices, all of us do, when we run for public office, but what's that motivation? Why do you do what you do? I was raised with the ideal that if you don't like what you see in front of you, if you don't like what's happening, you really only have two options. Number one, you sit back and you don't do anything, you don't say anything. Or number two, you get involved, you become engaged, and you try to be the change that you want to see. Now, I'll try to be positive, but I'll preface my comments by saying I will point to the government's record over the last 10 years. Over the last 10 years of Dalton McGuinty and now Kathleen Wynne, we've lost jobs, and our debt and our deficit is spiraling out of control. Essentially, the status quo isn't working for us in Ontario, in London, and in London West. We need look no further than our unemployment rate. It'll be a theme that comes up tonight from everybody. Jobs. What's the number one issue I hear at the doors? Jobs. What's the number two issue I hear at the doors? Jobs. What's the number three issue I hear at the door? Jobs. We have an unemployment rate in London that's above 9%. That's higher than both the provincial and the national average. London's unemployment rate is actually one of the largest, one of the highest right across Canada. And it tells me, and it should tell everybody here, that the status quo isn't working for London. The status quo isn't working for London West, and it's not working for our province. So let's talk about not just what the problems are, but what are the solutions. We have a great jobs plan, the Ontario PC Party, and I would invite everybody to go to my website, www.alishabar.ca, and click on our Paths to Prosperity tab, and it will actually outline, I think we have a 20 or 30-page plan for jobs. How are we going to get it back here? How are we going to get jobs back to Ontario? How are we going to get jobs back to London, Ontario specifically? Number one, if you're a business looking to set up shop, what are you looking at? You know, it could be any business, a microphone business, let's say. You're going to look at different jurisdictions, you're going to look at hydro rates, energy rates. If Ontario's energy rates are higher than those of Alberta or Quebec or Michigan or Ohio or New York State, that's one factor that businesses look at, because energy rates eat into your bottom line. So we have an obligation, as the Ontario government has an obligation to try to get energy rates under control. And on that point, our energy policy has to be rooted in sound fiscal policy. We cannot, as a government, subsidize expensive energy experiments. We need to focus our energy policy on the fundamental economics of sound fiscal policy. So that's number one. Number two, what do we look at? If you're a business, that same microphone business, you're going to look at energy policy, you're going to look at taxation. What's the tax rate in Ontario as opposed to Alberta or New York State or anywhere else? We need to have competitive tax rates to try to attract businesses to come to Ontario and to come to London specifically. And number three, and this is a very, very important point personally and for all of us here, the stability of government, and that speaks to debt and deficit. Our deficit in Ontario as of this year is $9.8 billion, and next year it's actually going to increase an additional $2 billion to almost $12 billion. Our debt is fast approaching $300 billion. If you took the debt from each province and each territory in Ontario and you added them together, Ontario actually has a greater debt. So we have a great plan to bring jobs to Ontario. We have a great plan to get people back to work. And I know I have less than a minute here, but I do want to speak about another word that keeps coming up at the door, and that word is integrity. It's usually in the context of, and it's been alluded to already, but the gas plant scandal. The Liberals, unfortunately, have their legacy right now. If I say gas plant scandal, orange ambulance scandal, diluted chemotherapy scandal, the e-health scandal. It's unfortunately, we see a theme emerging here. We need to restore integrity. We need to restore trust. This election has to be about idealism. It has to be about who do you believe has the best vision for Ontario and who do you believe can actually put Ontario back on the right track. We are, unfortunately now, for the first time in our history, a have-not province. We used to be the economic engine of this country. We used to be the model that all the provinces looked at. And now, unfortunately, we are a have-not province. We are receiving transfer payments from our brothers and sisters in Newfoundland. I got the red card there, so I'll come back to some of these themes afterwards. Thank you very much, folks.